Oh, I had that.
That's all dead.
Red here.
Red right in front. How are you dying with the
kills
light
them.
blade?
I am giving them suppressive
I got it,
fire.
but I'm dead. He's gonna be grabbing.
I'm gonna spawn in so many Genjis and Levi Scouts, man. This is the entire guide to movement and also the sword, all put into one video. All my knowledge gained over the last 300 hours of playing. This is coming from a Diamond 1, almost top 500. I've been away from the game for about 2 weeks due to sicknesses. Not only to master the sword and its mechanics, but also to know how to play as a light class and move with evasive dash. It would really help if you left a comment or sub to the channel. As of this video going live, I am streaming at twitch.tv/adorian510, so if you have any questions, they can be answered there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you, bye. So first we'll be going over the 3 different attacks that the sword provides in its kit. So the first one will be the left click, which I like to call the light attack. The light attack does 74 damage and it goes from right to left and then left to right. 1, 2, 1, 2. So as you can see here, I'm swinging from right to left and I'm not connecting to the medium target. As soon as I do the second attack in the combo, which is the left to right, it'll actually connect to the medium. Say you want to go for the light player on the left, you will have to do a full turn so you don't accidentally hit this guy. Keep in mind that the left click cannot pierce enemies. It can only hit one enemy at a time. And of course, the other way to not hit them is to just do the second attack. So as you can see here, it swings from the left side and it'll always connect on this guy because it's out of the arch radius. I need to get this hit as soon as possible because even if I get like a 0.3 second delay, I can die to like a scar or like a shotgun. So I need the quickest time to kill, and that would be swinging from the right to the left. And you kind of have to be careful because the left click does have a sort of built-in aim assist. So as you can see here, I'm not really aiming at the target, but then it'll kind of just snap on to the middle. So you want to find that hot spot where it's outside of the aim assist and also inside of the arch radius of the sword attacks. So the next attack I wanted to talk about is the melee quick attack, and it does 40 damage, but it also has a shorter radius and attack range than the left click. I'll talk a little bit more about the melee when it comes to combos and movement. So next up is the most powerful thing about the sword and what really makes it viable in competitive play is the lunge attack. What I like to call, for the sake of the video, is the heavy attack, or also known as the charge attack. It charges up in about 0.3 or so seconds. You have to find the exact timing. So you can see here, if you do it too early preemptively and you let go, it won't actually charge and it'll get you killed. But at the same time, you don't want to waste too much time charging because that's a direct DPS loss. So you need to find that sweet spot. Now it gives you a 5-meter lunge after you charge it, and it also has a 2-meter attack range. So the left click has about a 1 meter and it also pulls it towards. The right click lunge has a 2 meter, attacks from further. So you see this target is at about the 10-meter mark and I'm about 2 meters forward, so it should connect the attack. And as you can tell from that swing there, it has a, what I like to call, a lingering hitbox. So what that means is, even though I don't directly pierce them as I should, it still has a lingering and you can turn and still connect the attack. When you jump, it actually cancels the lunge's lunge ability. I come up behind an enemy and I pierce him, or I miss, and then it just like goes through, right? Just like that, and then you're all of a sudden in front of them. To nullify that and to stay behind the enemy out of their line of sight, you can jump right before you do the lunge. That will stop you from jumping forward. Alright, so next up I'm going to talk about the combos with all 3 of the attacks combined. Now the first thing I want to mention before we go into the combos is the melee cancel. After you charge an attack and you try and press melee, sometimes it'll completely nullify your sword attack. So you have to wait until your sword attack connects before you can melee. Starting off with the medium. So there's 3 different combos with the medium. The first one is the double heavy attack. So you see here, just 2 lunge attacks, 140 plus 140. That's 280 damage. Even if they're getting healed, you should still be able to get the kill on them. This is the one I use most commonly when I approach the enemy from the front. It allows you to charge your heavy attack while also doing a bunch of movement keys, which I'll get into later. This is purely just about the combos. Now the second combo is the one I use when I get up behind a medium and they don't know I'm close, and that'll be the heavy attack, melee, light attack. So as you can see here, I cancel the heavy attack as soon as it hits into the melee attack and get the left click right after. Now for the third combo, this is a bit more of an advanced technique and it can actually nullify the second one, and that's actually the heavy attack into a weapon swap light attack melee. It's a bit quicker than the second combo, but it requires you to have utility up so that you can actually do the weapon swap. And the reason I say it's more advanced is because if you switch off your sword before the lunge goes through, then you'll actually cancel the attack and you won't do any damage, and it leaves you just looking at a half HP medium. Now next up, we are going for the light class, is the lunge into a melee. Now the way to kill a heavy is just a heavy attack melee into a heavy attack melee. Very simple, right? Now the heavy combo is kind of awkward because you can kill them just as quick as you can kill a medium. The only problem is your mobility. So I wouldn't really recommend this versus a shotgun. And what I mean by lack of mobility is when you do a melee follow-up with the lunge attack, sometimes it'll stop your momentum and you'll just completely stop in front of the target. Now for the second way to kill a heavy is you're going for 5 hits. And what I mean by 5 hits is the heavy attack counts as 2 and the light attack counts as 1. So you can mix and match whatever combos you need to equal 5. Finally, time we talk about the movement. The first thing we're going to talk about is the super dash, but we're going to have to break it down and take it step by step. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the heavy attack lunge and the dash combo. This is going to be your standard combo when you're fighting enemies. So I'm going to charge a heavy attack first, and as soon as the heavy attack lets go, I'm going to press dash, and then it'll take me a boost of about 15 meters. That's about your standard distance from here to here when you're looking straight. But what's so powerful about this is you can actually manipulate your distance based on your crosshair placement. If I want to go straight like this, yeah, 15 meters, great. But say I wanted to go upwards, like I have to go a floor up, we could do the lunge plus the lunge, it takes you upwards. And of course you can do the opposite as well. If you look more towards the ground, like say you're trying to get this enemy who's only at 10 meters and you don't want to go to 15, you look more towards the ground, just like this. And eventually you'll be able to get it down to whatever distance you need. We have the heavy and then the dash. We're going to add a jump. So as you see here, we add the jump and we get a bonus 10 meters. The jump does have to be precisely timed to continue to carry your momentum. You have so much speed and momentum from the lunge, heavy attack, and the dash that the jump continues your distance further to double, basically, right? That's the thing about this game, is you can kind of b-hop. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen when you jump on a pad and then you land and you jump, you gain a lot more distance with your jump than normal because you're carrying your momentum forward. So now that you have the first 3 steps down, the last thing you're gonna have to add is a slide. So you see here with all 4 steps combined, takes you about 35 meters, which is absolutely insane to gap in about 2 seconds. So I'd recommend you get used to the crosshair placement. I'd say you want to aim it around neck level, because if you aim it too high, it gets awkward and you don't really go as far. Some people do recommend binding the jump key on scroll wheel, so you can just do the tech, and then instead of worrying about pressing space at the perfect timing, you can just press spam scroll wheel and it'll take you forward. So when you do the tech like this, when you're in animation of the heavy attack charge, you can't actually vault things. So if I try to vault this box here, I won't be able to. I'm spamming space because your character is too busy doing the attack. So when I'm either running away or I need to vault something really quickly, all you have to do is weapon swap and then go back to the sword, and you can climb over super easily just like that. This one is super useful for when you're trying to get away. With this tech, you can also chain super dashes as well. And that's usually what I do to traverse. If you do your dash lunge combo, you can't actually slide right after because it registers you as being in the animation, right? So the way to counteract this is simply just a weapon swap, and you'll be able to do it right after, just like that. So I swapped to the stun gun and I was able to instantly slide. That's really important for movement, especially when you're dancing around players, which I'll explain later in the video. So the next thing I want to talk about for movement wise is what I like to call dancing, and that's essentially what you do to outmaneuver the opponent in front of you. So the first thing you're going to want to do as of the opener is you're going to have to get your heavy attack lunge dash combo off. You need to go either to the left or right. So if I were to attack this guy, I would shoot right over to his left side and land right about behind him right here. What this forces him to do is turn his character all the way around to his blind spot that I went into to try and track me with his gun. And that's essentially what you're going to want to be doing throughout the entire fight, is getting into that blind spot. If they can't track you because you're getting into their blind spot and they don't know what's happening, that's how I make people look like idiots, and they just don't know what's happening, right? So you can see I land in the behind, and then this guy is forced to turn to his blind spot, and by the time he turns, I'm already dashed forward over this way. So yet again, as he turns from this side, I'm back in his blind spot again, and he has to forcibly turn through. But by that time, I already have another heavy attack charged, and it's just doomed for the medium player. That's why I think dueling mediums is the easiest, along with the fact that most people use FCAR and the mag is so low. If they can't predict your movement, there's no way in hell that they can win if you get close to them. So the full technique to dance around an opponent is starts off with the first one, right? Going from the left side or the right side, get behind them, and then dash over here into a slide to take your distance even further, force them to drag their mouse further, and by that time you're already charging your next one into the heavy attack. And I wanted to mention that there's so many other ways to dance around your opponent. It's not the only way you can do it. There's literally infinite amounts of ways you can, and it's really based on situation and terrain, but that's just one example of how I use my brain to process through these fights. And when you get good enough with the combo, you can also incorporate the stun gun and flick as well, and that'll definitely secure the kill on your opponent. Now I want to talk a little bit about the utility choice that I have in my setup. So you can see I normally run stun gun, vanish bomb, and frag grenade. Frag grenades are way too good, as you'll see in the upcoming clips that I'll show in the scenarios. 100 to like 149 damage on a good nade hit, which makes people one shot to your sword. Really useful for opening in fights and also for when people chase you. Next up we have vanishing bomb. It's just way too good. You are able to get into advantageous spots by going invis when people know you're playing dash and they have no idea that you're invis. It also has no audio cue like the cloak does. So the cloak turns you invisible, but it has an audio cue. The vanishing bomb only has an audio cue when you first throw it, and then after that you're completely invisible for the most part, like you can still be seen, and has no audio, so they don't know if you're close by or not unless they are really looking. Next up we have stun gun. I mean, self-explanatory. It's just way too good, honestly. Like, you disable utility, they can't move, it's a free kill. So this is kind of a selfish setup, to be honest. Like, I don't have much team utility. I'm a full DPS class, so I do have some things on the reserve that will help the team out. So the glitch grenade is one. I usually have the glitch grenade in a 3-stack instead of either the frag or the vanishing bomb. Next up we have thermal vision. This one is really good, especially if you're playing versus other lights. So if there's a bunch of other lights in the rest of the lobby, then sometimes I'll put this on so I can see them in their invisibility. And lastly, we do have the XP54. I know this is a sword guide and stuff, but there's just some matchups where sword just does not work, where you can get easily shut down by the opponents if they're good enough. The biggest example for me is either a double heavy team or a triple medium team. Those teams are pretty hard because usually two of them have recon in the triple medium team, and they'll just have complete sight and vision on me and they'll never let me come close. Also, when I'm playing in suspended structures, I like to switch to the XP as well, which is one of the modifiers in the game. Now I kind of want to touch on some actual in-game scenarios that I've come across. So here's the first clip, and full team of medium stopping me from getting my revive on my teammate. As you can see here, I use my dash tech to get across really fast, slide through his body so that he wouldn't stop my momentum. This is really important to do, especially when you're running away either with the cash out box, and since I know they're chasing me and I can hear the recon and him right over the side of the door, and of course he would chase me, right? It's like his whole team versus just me. I pre-jack a grenade. This is why I play grenades. When you hit somebody with a grenade for about 149 damage, or a little bit less is fine too, you can actually kill someone in one swing, as you'll see here. So I hit the first guy that I took down with the grenade, therefore making him one shot. He couldn't even fight back and he's just instantly dead. Now the second guy comes around the corner, which I wasn't really expecting. So as soon as I kill him, you'll see that I actually throw the vanish bomb and dash at the exact same time, because now I'm closer to him and he doesn't even know. He thinks I'm near where the invis bomb dropped, giving me a free swing of 140 damage, and he's just completely lost and I'm able to get the kill. I also get the stun off on this guy, but unfortunately I'm just way too low up front against the shotgun with no more dashes or utility, and I do manage to go down. So here's another situation of where the entire team of 3 is on the cash out floor. One of my teammates is dead and it's just me on the heavy. I know my heavy has C4 on the point, so it is going to drop, but I know they have a heavy that can drop a shield as well. He throws the dome, which is good because I know they're going to plant now. I just have to wait and invis till they drop in. As soon as I see them drop in, the first threat to mitigate is the heavy player. So what I do is I go for the stun gun. But I'm not actually going to try and kill him. There's no point going for the heavy here. All I need to do is disable his ability to defend the cash out taker. So as I said, after I stunned the heavy guy, it was instantly a swap off the heavy and going for the medium player. And the light does also land on top of me, but fortunately my movement is just too good and they both go down from the C4 and my sword swings. Bit of an Ido diff, and my ego is taking over. This is just another example of me dancing around an opponent as I know he is coming because I hear the recon along with his other teammate as well. That guy's lost, that guy's stunned. And that's me, baby. 1 HP clutch and a dream. And this is the final clip I want to show off. It's more about a 1v2 play with movement and dancing, but also about spacing, which I'll talk about once we get to the end of the clip. So as you can see from here, I know the enemy has no bullets because he has a scar. He ran out and I can see him in reload animation. So I make sure not to get too close because his only option and way of killing me is to melee attack. And like I said, the lunge has way more range than a melee attack, so I have to stay out of that radius before I go in. So I properly space myself between him and myself, and I'm easily able to secure the kill. Anyways, that's about it for the entire sword guide and movement guide as well. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, anything would be much appreciated. And thank you so much and have a good rest of your day, and peace out.